Hello, and welcome to Movie Pod, the podcast about movies. So this is going to be a bonus episode this week. I spent 11 days at the Toronto International Film Festival, and I spent many of those days with my friend Andrew Joe Potter. So I am being joined by Andrew Joe Potter to discuss TIFF. How are you doing, Andrew?
Bryan, it is wonderful to be here in the Movie Pod studio.
Mm-hmm. It's fancy, isn't it?
It's well decorated. I like what you've done with the place. Beautiful upholstery.
I just can't get that smell out of there. Not sure how to get rid of the smell.
Yeah, well, some Febreze maybe. Oh, no free sponsors. No free ads.
No free sponsors, yeah. But if you want to sponsor me, Febreze, I will gladly take it.
The official scent.
The official scent of Movie Pod. Yeah, I need some sponsors. That'd be great. I wonder what the most low-stakes sponsor I can get to get me free stuff sent to me.
I think an official odor sponsor would be great. Especially, it would have been helpful during TIFF.
Yeah.
Lots of people who were bathing to various degrees of quality. So
I had a couple of screenings where the guy beside me clearly was not wearing any deodorant, and it was pretty nasty.
Was it me?
No, it wasn't me. You're good. You're totally fine.
Okay,
I brought a stick of deodorant with me in my bag all the time, and I reapplied it throughout the day just to be certain, because I don't want to be that guy at a film festival.
Yeah. I was sitting next to one guy who was clearly not wearing any underpants.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nasty.
And also no pants. I guess that's the other important factor.
Was it like jerking off to Christy or something?
To Train Dreams.
Train Dreams. Oh yeah, yeah. He loved that wet dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw 43 movies at TIFF, which is kind of a lot. How many did you see?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's not a competition.
Yeah.
I saw 14.
That's way more reasonable than I did.
I think I saw 14, and of those 14, we probably went to, I think, 9 or 10 screenings together.
I think so, yeah. Which
a lot of them
cool.
together, and a lot of them were the same movies, maybe just different time slots. But
yeah, because we didn't really go into TIFF with plans. I think we had plans to see Mile and Kicks together, but other than that, we kind of just went with the flow.
Yeah. Yeah, it actually ended up being, despite all, I mean, I don't know if you want to get into like the big picture about the festival, but like at the start of the 11-day stretch, it was like you were hearing a lot of chatter on Reddit, on the app formerly known as Twitter. Like you're hearing a lot of chatter about, oh, this is terrible. The ticketing process is just completely broken this year. Impossible to get into any films you want. But by the end, they hold tickets until for public release, like later into the festival, and they added additional screenings. So when all was said and done, I felt like there was a few films I didn't end up seeing that I'll end up seeing in the fall. But for the most part, I think like I only hit 14 films, and most of them were like, some of the bigger ones I was planning to see or wanting to see. So I felt like it was actually a pretty accessible festival this year.
It definitely was, yeah. Because I think people the big heavy hitters of this festival were like Frankenstein and Wake Up Dead Man, like Knives Out 3, and like those were very hard to get into premiere. So immediately, like those ones, the Midnight Madness movie, Nirvana the band, the show, the movie, those were tickets that like they sold out instantly, and people were trying to resell them on Ticketmaster for like $400 or $500. And people just look at Ticketmaster and say, oh shit, like this TIFF is too expensive. They're selling tickets for $500. That's just a reseller. But realistically, the movie's just sold out. Like, you just got to look at that as the movie being sold out. You're not looking at trying to buy a ticket from a scalper or something. And you're right, they open up tickets throughout the week too. So like, we saw Frankenstein together. We both saw Wake Up Dead Man. What were the other big ones? Sentimental Value we saw like, we got Hamlet. I was able to pretty much see every single major movie I wanted to see. I just had to refresh Ticketmaster for tickets being dropped and stuff, and they added more screens as I went along. So, like, yeah, a lot of people were complaining about how the festival was inaccessible, but, like, in the end, it was, like, I saw, like, other than Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, I saw every movie I wanted to see. Like, I even saw No Other Choice, which was the most anticipated movie at the festival, just because it won the audience prize, so they added an extra screening to it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's several ways to do the festival. And if you've got a full-time job or you have a full-time job that isn't isn't related to the film industry, like, yeah, you're not gonna be able to get to 4 films a day in the middle of the week, and a lot of those extra screenings do end up getting set for, Friday morning at 9 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a thing where like maybe the average person isn't going to be able to get to some of these films,
Yeah.
but like a lot of these films are also coming out in a month, 2 months anyway, or like going straight to Netflix when they do come out. So
The funniest one is that there was all kinds of side posters around TIFF for a movie called Swiped with Lily James. It's about the founding of Bumble. So that's premiere at TIFF there, but it comes out on Disney Plus. I think it might already be out on Disney Plus. Like it was came a few days after TIFF ended, and
oh yeah,
you could spend the $30 or the $60 for a premium ticket to go see this movie at the festival, or just wait a couple of days to see it at home on a streaming service. But part of the big appeal is that if you were to see this movie Swiped opening night, you can see Lily James in attendance. You can see a Q&A. So there is all the celebrity stuff you can see too. And I kind of lucked out this year because I saw a lot of Q&A. I saw a lot of celebrities, and I was still getting Q&As the last day of the festival too. So they tend to front load TIFF. They tend to put all of the heavy hitters at the first weekend of the festival, to get a lot of buzz there. The whole King Street, where most of TIFF is centered around, is closed down to just pedestrian foot traffic. Midway through the week, they open up to car traffic and stuff. They have less of the big premieres. They still have some, but not the huge ones. The first weekend is the one that has all the massive premieres. The second weekend is kind of just the smaller things. But one thing I love doing this festival this year is I love seeing the smaller movies because I use the Rush Pass, and Rush Pass is a weird thing to explain. So they have a rush line with basically every venue have a line in front of it, and if the movie has empty seats inside, be it sponsors don't show up, people don't show up their tickets, they might just have some tickets they never even put on sale there. It's first come first served in the rush line. So some movies they let only a few people in. Sometimes they a bigger thing they might let 60 people in kind of thing. And so what I did at the festival, I got a Rush Pass for $80, and I think I saw about 25 movies with that Rush Pass. So I got a great value with that, but you have to be flexible. You have to be willing to if you don't get into that movie, you wait just for the next movie that pops up there. And I was just kind of just getting the line, seeing what first comes first served. And I saw some wonderful small world premieres for movies that would never be on my radar. I saw a good Turkish drama called As We Breathe. Saw the world premiere of that. That would never been on my radar. I saw a great movie for Singapore called Amoeba. That was world premiere. I would never have looked at that movie ever in my life, and I thought it was fantastic. And so that's the way I did the festival. Was I was kind of I got tickets for the heavy hitters I wanted to see, and supplemented that with just getting in line, seeing as many movies as I could by just rushing and using my Rush Pass and getting my money, my full monetary value out of that.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely got the bang for your buck there. How long do you think you waited in line for each of those, what'd you say, 23 to 25 screenings that you rushed for?
The two longest ones I rushed for were Poetic License, the comedy the comedy directed by Maud Apatow, starring her mom, Leslie Mann, with also Cooper Hoffman, Andrew Barth Feldman. It was a second screening. I waited 90 minutes in line. And I had a backup movie in case I couldn't get into that one. But that one still had the full cast and crew there for the Q&A, which is really cool. I got to see Judd Apatow, as a proud dad, taking a video of his daughter during her introduction. So that was 90 minutes. I also waited 90 minutes for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, which is a Rose Byrne movie, which was phenomenal. It's basically as stressful as Knives Out, about a woman just completely unraveling as her daughter's sick, her house is falling apart, her husband's away. And so, I waited 90 minutes for both of those. Sometimes I would literally just get in the rush line. They'd be handing down a ticket that no one would want, and I would get in within 30 seconds of being in the rush line. So last year when I was at TIFF, I think I spent cumulatively 24 hours in a rush line. And probably this TIFF, I was there longer. I probably spent maybe 18 hours in a rush line.
You saw way more films this year too.
Yeah, I saw over double what I saw last year. And also what I love about TIFF as well is that everyone's there for the same purpose, which is to see movies. So everyone has the same common interest. So it's fantastic just being able to chat with people in the line about movies. And that's how you kind of get the idea of what movies are good, what movies are bad. So with TIFF, every movie has multiple screenings, unless there's rare exceptions. So you kind of get the buzz about it. So hear about one movie, I think a great example is we can talk about the Elvis movie we saw. So they're pretty much giving away free tickets to this Elvis movie by Baz Luhrmann. So it's not the Austin Butler Elvis movie, but when Baz Luhrmann was making the Austin Butler movie, he found about 55 hours of unused Elvis footage from his Vegas years, as well as about 45 minutes of audio of Elvis talking about his creative process. So Baz Luhrmann spliced together this documentary using the same technology to restore the footage that Peter Jackson used for Beatles Get Back documentary. It was like $90 ticket, but they're giving away with a promo code for like $15. So I snagged a ticket there because like, oh, like, I'll just like trade this ticket the day of, and then pretty much just like there'll be no takers because they're effectively giving away a ticket for free at that point. So we both went to the screening, and it was incredible. Like, I don't care for Elvis, I don't care for Baz Luhrmann, but the energy of the crowd was just so phenomenal. And after that, because like this is a ticket that are pretty much giving away, and then they added an extra screen to the movie. It won runner-up for the documentary prize of the festival, and that was probably just by pure word of mouth that they really added a screen, because like that was a movie that was on no one's radar because they're giving away tickets, and then just it got a lot of buzz throughout the festival, and that's the kind of momentum that movies try to build. Like the biggest prize for TIFF is the People's Choice Award prize. What's notable about that is that like pretty much it's what kicks off the like Oscar season, the award season, and I think for the past, like, since, like, 2008 when Slumdog Millionaire won, only about 3 or 4 of People's Choice winners have not been up for Best Picture at the Oscars. So, like, people try to build the momentum to, you know, get the buzz going. They add extra screenings to movies to try and get more people to go and see the movie. I think one thing we really noticed was a movie trying to do that was a movie called Christy.
Oh, boy.
We saw it together. It's about the boxer Christy Martin, who's like the first big, like, you know, female boxer in the world, like the first big, like, you know, huge female boxing star. So she's played by Sydney Sweeney in the movie. Her abusive husband and trainer is played by Ben Foster, and it's directed by the guy who made Animal Kingdom, which I've not seen but I've heard great things about. And yeah, and it's like a pretty by the numbers biopic, pretty by the numbers sports boxing movie. But it is about a woman who is like, you know, closetly queer. It's a movie about like, you know, perseverance and such. And we saw the second screening, and they still had the full Q&A of like having the cast and crew there. They had the real Christy Martin there, and during the premiere, there was a dog in the movie, and during the premiere, they had like this one part during the Q&A where they pretended that the dog like got away from a handler and was rushing onto the stage into someone's arms. And then during the second screen that we saw, they did the exact same thing again. Like, okay, they're trying to get people to talk about this movie a lot because they think this movie can actually, you know, win the big award. And I was surprised it actually wasn't a runner-up even, because like that one was like, that's probably the most my crowd reacted to a movie for all of TIFF. Other than everyone weeping in Hamnet, I think that was the most everyone actually responded to a movie.
Well, I was weeping at the end of Christy because I was so thankful that it had finally ended.
Oh, but, God, it was so boring.
It's funny you say it was by the numbers, because I think literally, so the director comes out afterwards and he says in his nice Australian accent, we were really trying to make a different kind of boxing film. And it's literally every single trope. Like they've got, I don't know, like Bryan, how spoilerific are we getting here? Are we trying to keep it top level?
I will say, just for the sake of right now, if you don't want to get spoiled for the movie Christie, skip ahead 60 seconds. It's based on a true story though, but yeah, I'll put 60 seconds on the clock. Skip ahead 60 seconds right now if you don't get spoiled for about Christie.
Yeah, as we said, the real Christy Martin and her dog were at the screening, so that in itself is a spoiler. But it's yeah, everything's so paint by numbers. The mom is like the straight out of it's the same mom that I think it's Margot Martindale plays in $1 Million Baby, just like the over the top sort of redneck mom who is just like never pleased. They've got a few other characters in it that are like we both said like that was like was that an SNL skit? Like, oh
yeah, Don King, Chad L. Coleman as Don King. Yeah, I feel like Kenan Thompson.
We're literally thinking this could have been Kenan Thompson in a sketch. Like he's playing it so broad, and obviously Don King is a character in real life, but still, there's some parts of it that just seemed so at odds, especially when you've got this very paint by numbers boxing picture, but then also this kind of psychosexual drama about this woman's kind of repressing her queerness and coming to terms with that. So That was just the blatant. I don't. I guess okay, we're out of spoiler territory now. The
Yeah,
blatant the blatant, playing to the back row, like please vote for us. I just think the big pop in the theater was for Sydney Sweeney, and that was the celebrity factor. I don't think anyone who has seen more than like 3 movies this year could possibly could credibly call that even like a fringe like Oscar contender on any front. I just
it
think
feels like a Golden Globe nominated performance with Sydney Sweeney, and Ben Foster as a dark horse Golden Globe nominee. Like,
well, I also think all these recent boxing movies have come out in the wake of ever since I think we said Southpaw with Gyllenhaal, whatever, 10 years ago. Jake Gyllenhaal in that movie is absolutely ripped. And then every boxing or fighting movie that's come out since, they've made this big thing about, Orlando Bloom has undergone the transformation of a lifetime to get ready for this role. He was in a really crappy boxing movie last year that was at TIFF called The Cut. But
I think it's only getting released this week in some countries. It got delayed a long time
because it's bad, and it's the same thing. It's like a bad paint by numbers boxing movie that they try to make. They try to give it a larger underlying story. But it's just I think if you're gonna base a campaign around the crazy body transformation, you actually have to be ridiculously cut. You can't just be like Sydney Sweeney going from being very, very tiny on Euphoria to now being a normal sized woman in Christy.
Yeah. I think they had some stuff she put on 20, 30 pounds of muscle or something like that, but you can't really see it.
No, she's wearing, it's a lot of boxy shirts and she's kind of dressing like a mix between Billie Eilish and Adam Sandler the entire movie.
Yeah.
It's a lot of knee length shorts, athletic shorts, and really boxy 90s t-shirts. So
a lot of it's them trying to clearly hide how busty she is. That was a big part of her clothing, I think, more so than her. Them trying to they're trying to hide that more than trying to show off how muscular she is.
So big picture with Sweeney. So what do you think? Because I think the movie for me was very middle tier, and I think her performance relative to if we're being told we're supposed to hold her up as a potential, maybe think about her come Oscar season. It was a fine performance, but it's clear she's not in the same tier as a better dramatic actress. But
obviously not, yeah. Because I like Sadie Sweeney a lot as an actress. In most things, I think there's something in there that's always interesting. Even something Anybody But You, which is a bad movie. The opening stuff, she has a lot of comedic potential in that movie that the movie doesn't really follow up on. I think she's great in Euphoria. I think she's good in White Lotus. So I think she's a good actress. It's just that this one just feels like I've seen this before. So you have the accent, you have you practice how to do some boxing and stuff. So it's just not. It's transformation in a way. She's transforming into something so cookie cutter that it's not impressive.
Yeah, and she's doing a really kind of hammy eastern southeastern United States South Carolina, Tennessee accent that's just she sounds like an impression of Julia Garner in Ozark. It's very motherfucker, what do you go fuck yourself? And it's just okay, that's I mean, maybe that's true to the real life, but it was a lot of that choice for the entire movie.
Which wasn't very it just wasn't a special or unique movie at all. It's I thought it was it's just okay. It's not the worst thing at the festival I saw. It's not far from the best. It had the biggest audience reaction, which I found to be pretty fascinating considering how basic it was. But you're right, it could have just been the celebrity factor. Oh my god, Sydney Sweeney might be coming out. So
I think it says a lot. I think it says a lot that they chose TIFF to launch that film.
Yeah,
because I don't. If they had played that at Venice or Telluride, I think some of those audiences would have really rolled their eyes. I don't think it would have gotten that rapturous response in the theater.
Yeah. So in regards to that, TIFF is the largest public. I think it might be just the largest film festival in the world, but it's for sure the largest public facing one because the general public could see the exact same movies as the critics and industry people. So they might have special press and industry screenings, but those movies also get a full release that any Joe Schmo off the street can go see the movie as well. So with that, you can kind of get the crowd pleaser movies out there. And so like movies like Green Book won People's Choice at TIFF. They're like American Fiction, like Fableman. So kind of movies that kind of like pull your heartstrings a little bit, like, you know, kind of sappier movies can kind of win the top prize there, because like you kind of get people like, you know, kind of be surprised by the emotion they're feeling. So it's kind of a good like bellwether for figuring out if like a movie's going to play emotionally with the crowd. So TIFF will have movies like that pop up a fair amount. So like Christy is one that, yeah, you're right. It makes total sense why they premiered at TIFF. It's pretty calculated why it premiered there, and not like the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah. I'm sure it would have gotten a 14-minute standing ovation at Cannes as well, because everything does apparently. So there you go.
Yeah, so I was actually reading about why movies get such long standing ovations at the Cannes Film Festival. Part of it's a little bit of a circle jerk, but the main reason is apparently, I saw the best example being for The Fablemans a few years ago and got a super long standing ovation. And what they basically did was they just like, they introduced all the actors to the screen, cast and crew to the screen slowly, one by one, and they have like a camera put it on them, so they see them on the screen there. So it was like, all right, here comes like Gabriel LaBelle, like thunderous applause for like a minute, and then like here comes like Steven Spielberg, here comes this person. It's like everyone's applauding the person by person, and some like Judd Hirsch name popped up there, and he got a very, very long applause because he's old. It took him long to get to the stage. So like the reason movies getting a long applause is because there's other things going on in the theater too. It's not just people just standing around applauding at nothing. But I've heard that also does happen at Cannes. It's just a thing, that part of their tradition of the festival there. But luckily with TIFF, there's not really that long standing ovation stuff. Like I think like the only two movies I saw that got standing ovations were probably that Elvis Presley one and Christy, like of people actually standing up and applauding the whole time.
Yeah.
Mind you, those are like premieres or close to premieres, but like, yeah, like so like the standing ovation thing is kind of silly when it comes to counting those as like a real metric for a quality of a movie. Yeah, so I'm going through my list right now of movies that we saw at TIFF. So another one we saw the world premiere for was Mile End Kicks.
Right, yeah.
Do you want to explain that one a little bit?
Sure, yeah. So this is the Chandler Levesque's follow-up to I Like Movies from a few years ago. So this is her second directorial feature, and it's a semi-autobiographical retelling of Levesque's time as a music critic in Montreal in the early 2010s. So right kind of at the tail end of the indie sleaze era. And it stars Barbie Ferreira, also of Euphoria fame, and it's got a few other names that I hadn't really seen before, including Isaiah Lettinen, who was the star of Levesque's first film, I Like Movies. Plays a supporting part. But really, it's this love triangle between Barbie Ferreira, who's the music critic, and these two guys who are in a indie band, one of whom is sort of this peacocking, strutting, almost, he's kind of a Win Butler type, both in his role in the band as this kind of artistic genius, but also with his kind of doughy face and weak chin and kind of confusing appeal. And then the other guy is played by Devin Bostick, who's the guitarist, lead guitarist, and he's more of the sensitive, cerebral type on the side, who's kind of espousing all these mantras about how he's become celibate, and how he sort of positions himself as being sort of the more sensitive counterpart to the braggadocious lead played by Stanley Simons. So it's this interesting love triangle. In some respects, it does follow a lot of those love triangle rom-com sort of beats.
One thing I do
but
like is that like with the love triangle is that like she's really into both of them, but for various reasons they're not really into her. So it's interesting because you get to see like a woman being really horny in a movie, whereas the men have like, they're sexually active people, they're sexually attracted to her in some ways, but like it's really interesting seeing a movie that's done like a love triangle where it's not fully reequated both ways, which I think gives like a lot of drama in the movie. It gets a lot of good stuff there too, and like what also works well with this movie, just like I like movies where it's like a lot of it's the protagonist fucking up a lot. It's like them kind of kind of being selfish around the world around them.
Yeah, because that's the thing is like Barbie Ferreira. So her character Grace shows up. She's been doing, I guess, freelance music criticism for I think in the movie it's funny, she's done freelance for Spin magazine, but she's also working for basically like Toronto's version of Spin magazine. I think it's a made up.
It's a made up thing for sure. Yeah, I forget what it's called though. Jay Baruchel's like the editor.
Yeah, Jay Baruchel's the editor, and he's kind of it's kind of a different sort of role for him because he's a little skeezy, and it's clear right from the get go that he's he's at best maybe emotionally manipulative, and at worst maybe there's some other stuff that's gone on between him and his much younger female colleague. Mm-hmm. And right away you get this sense that within the newsroom, the character Grace is dealing with this patriarchal system. She's the only woman in the entire office and often very like physically separated from the inner circle of the boys club. And, whenever she chimes in, everyone's kind of surprised to discover that she's actually there. Like she's such an afterthought to everyone in the newsroom. So she goes to Montreal with this mandate. She's received this contract to write an entry of the sort of short essay series called 33 and a half or 33 and a third.
I think it's 33 and a third, yeah.
Yeah, so this is funny because I actually remember having to read these in school back in the day as part of like my studies. So, but they're these books where it's a handful of essays about one album. So she's been given this contract to write a book, one of these sort of essay books about Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill, and how this completely overturns the music industry in the 90s, and how this sort of like female rage had never really had that sort of platform, and then have it become such a commercial success as well and resonate with audiences. So she's been contracted to write this book of essays. So she decides to go to Montreal and immerse herself in the music scene there to really focus in. And that's where she kind of falls sideways into this love triangle scenario. It's a nice film.
I really liked it. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. And full disclosure, our seats were directly in front of the cast, specifically right in front of Isaiah Lettinen, who was literally cackling the entire length of the movie.
He was having the time of his life. His laugh was so infectious.
Yeah, he's the Nut Film's #1 supporter for sure, and he's a funny guy. I'd be interested to have a conversation with him, but yeah, it's a nice film. I think in the way that for me, I like movies. The 2 times I've watched it since I first saw it, it has grown for me in different ways, and my appreciation for that has deepened. I'm curious to see if that's the same thing that will happen with this film, because in some ways I think it meanders a bit longer in different directions that maybe you can say the momentum dips at certain points. But I think it's a nice film, and there's one thing about Chandler Levesque is there's no one who's doing the sort of Canadian millennial experience with that level of hyper specificity. Like she's
self-deprecation too. I think that really helps with it too. It's like, but it's not a cruel form of self-deprecation. It's like, it feels like a pretty realistic way to look at yourself, but also like it's vulnerable, but not just purely humiliating.
Yeah. And there are times where you do wonder, like, really, Barbie Ferreira is kind of throwing herself at both of these dudes, and these guys are like finding every reason to not hook up with Barbie Ferreira.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's I guess we're trending into the territory of fable at this point. But I think she's got the goods. I think that Barbie Ferreira, she's been picking up really smart projects. And I think I think obviously there's a lot of kids. They're all in their mid to late 20s now, but all these young performers who came out of Euphoria, and I think in various ways, we've already talked about Sydney Sweeney, and we touched on Maude Apatow. There's another big one we'll talk about later, but it is interesting to see them all kind of come into their own, and now like away from that ensemble, you realize who actually has like the serious chops, and I'll be really interested to see what projects Ferreira continues to attach herself to.
Yeah. So like actually, let's we have a real order for movies we're talking about. Let's just keep going the Euphoria route. So why don't we talk about Frankenstein?
Yeah. Okay. So do you want to set her up?
Yeah. So it's Guillermo del Toro doing Frankenstein. So it's so it's almost what exactly you're going to expect from Del Toro doing a Frankenstein movie. It's doesn't really have much of the Boris Karloff movie DNA to it, so it's more an adaptation of the book. It makes a fair amount of changes to it, but like it focuses heavily on like Oscar Isaac. He plays Dr. Victor Frankenstein, and Jacob Elordi from Euphoria plays the creature. This movie also really focuses in just like the book how how Frankenstein's father wasn't there for him, so and him being like the father of his own creation, he's not there for his creation either. So it's the cycle of bad fatherhood. Del Toro's able to mine a lot of deep empathy from that, which makes it a really fascinating movie. The craftsmanship's on point. It's a Del Toro movie, so like there's a lot of fantastic model work, prosthetic work, animatronics. It looks spectacular. One thing the marketing is doing really well is they're trying to hide what the creature looks like, and I think that's pretty smart because what the creature looks like is actually really interesting. And Elordi is just so good in the movie. It's hard to spoil Frankenstein because the book has been around for like 100 years and it's been told a million times. But like the structure of it is that like they do shift the focus at one point from me on Oscar Isaac he's doing a really fun mad scientist role. But it's something that you've seen a mad scientist do a lot. But when the focus shifts to Jacob Elordi as the creature, I think the movie kicks up into high gear and becomes really fascinating.
Yeah, because this movie is 2.5 hours, and it's really there's a quick prologue. There's a framing narrative throughout, but there's this. It's really a two-parter, and Oscar Isaac occupies the first hour of this film, and it is fun because GDT fills the picture with all these amazing character actors. So they've got. So I don't know if you want to list off some of these other folks that show up here. We've got Christoph Waltz as sort of the mysterious benefactor to Dr. Frankenstein's studies. We've got Charles Dance showing up as part of the kind of flashback sequence as
Frankenstein's father,
as Victor Frankenstein's father, the sort of cruel and cold and distant father. We've got Mia Goth as the niece of Christoph Waltz's mysterious benefactor, and she shows up and just immediately starts doing creepy Mia Goth stuff.
Yeah.
So she's talking about bugs, and she's looking like this expressionist
like a porcelain doll.
Yeah. And there's a few other kind of interesting people who show up later, but it's fun just to see these folks all in their I guess, is it Victorian era? I'm not sure exactly. Yeah. So there's lots of just really hammy, the usual hammy Christoph Waltz stuff, the typically, at a high frequency Mia Goth stuff. And you've got Oscar Isaac there, and he's fine, I think.
I think he's good in the movie for what the assignment is. He understands the assignment. He's doing the mad scientist thing pretty well.
There's one thing that I never mentioned after the movie, and in the movie, I think I almost turned to you and said something, but I held off because talking in the movie theater. Did Oscar Isaac have a nipple ring?
I did not notice.
Okay, we're gonna have to stop the pod, and we're gonna have to reach out to Netflix for comment.
We're gonna have to ask them for a screen or copy.
This is the most important unanswered question about this movie. I was like, wait a second, what? maybe I'm just that was late in the festival for me, and I was starting to see ghosts. But
Maybe you start to see nipple rings in all the performances.
yeah, definitely there should be more nipple rings definitely in cinema. I
Mm-hmm.
will say so this movie is part of Del Toro's Netflix deal.
Mm-hmm.
So this will get I think they usually get like maybe a limited run, like a week maybe.
Week or two, yeah.
And a lot of the big chains in Canada and the US won't carry Netflix movies
Mm-hmm.
because of the sensitivity around the lack of windowing
Mm-hmm.
and the exclusive window around before when these Netflix movies hit streaming. I think this is because there are parts of this movie where it looks incredible. The set design, the costuming, the makeup, those aspects of a Del Toro movie are just I appreciate how much he puts into that. But there are also a few moments that I registered where the computer generated elements are they didn't seem to meet the level of the practical effects.
Yeah, like the wolves and such.
Yeah, there's some CGI animals involved
Mm-hmm.
that don't quite keep you grounded in this pretty highly stylized movie. So that's a tough thing. But I do wonder as people begin to see this because far more people will see this on a laptop
Mm-hmm.
than in a theater with 500 other people.
Which is so disappointing. And I saw that apparently, I think TIFF Lightbox Theatre in Toronto is getting this in 35mm. I know the Highland Cinema in London, they get a lot of Netflix releases too, so I assume it'll pop up here. One of the reasons why Frankenstein and Knives Out were really hard to see at TIFF was because the venue at TIFF with the most amount of screens is Scotiabank Theatre, which is a Cineplex, and Cineplex refuses to play any Netflix movies. So it was hard to see Frankenstein just because there's only so few venues that could actually play it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do wonder if whatever issues I'm having maybe with some of the CGI,
Mm-hmm.
whether when people do see this on a smaller screen, whether some of those issues just won't be as noticeable. So maybe there's a bit of a trade-off there. I do wonder about this film in terms of like I think this will be in the awards conversation in the next 4 months, the same way that like Nosferatu was.
Exactly.
Like a lot of below the line for costuming and makeup and set deck and all those elements. But I think the big takeaway for this one is Jacob Elordi as the monster.
Mm-hmm. I like him a lot as an actor. Like him playing Elvis in that movie Priscilla was phenomenal. He's great in Euphoria. A lot of people are good in Euphoria. Yeah, he's like one of those. He was really good in Canada last year. Like he's like one of those like really exciting up and coming actors. I think he's escaped his teen heartthrob image by picking really interesting roles. I know Andrew Garfield was initially going to be playing the creature in this movie, and I think that was a smart choice for. I think it was the strikes that caused Andrew Garfield not to be in this movie. I think Elordi did a better job than Garfield could. I think Elordi has an intensity that Garfield does not.
Mm-hmm. And Jacob Elordi's also like he's like 6'5" or something. Like he's
yeah,
huge.
he's tall. He's huge. Yeah,
and that frame is put to good use in this movie as this ominous figure.
Yeah, I think also like Del Toro uses some perspective tricks when it comes to shooting it, so he looks even taller at points.
Yeah, they used a little person as Oscar Isaac's. No. Yeah, it's funny. He's put so much focus on like if you go back through the even just the Wikipedia page for Frankenstein, like you'll see Del Toro has been talking about making a Frankenstein movie for like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of ways, like I kind of think he's made Frankenstein already he's taken different angles but like he's done a lot of the similar stories. Like there's Frankenstein in Shape of Water, there's Frankenstein in Pinocchio,
Hellboy.
a lot of Hellboy, a lot of the visual style obviously is pretty similar to like Pan's Labyrinth. Like
I got a lot of Crimson Peak vibes from this movie.
Yeah, so On one hand, I don't know. I wonder if he was so focused on making this that like it almost impossibly hyped up for what ended up being a pretty like a good retelling, but not like I don't think this has closed the book on it, there ever being another Frankenstein adaptation. It's pretty paint by numbers in the end, with some really fun, flashy performances, but.
Like, I think if you've only seen Frankenstein in, like, a Boris Karloff movie or in the pop culture vein, I think that this will kind of might surprise you if you don't know the book too well, because this is pretty close to what the book is tackling thematically and narratively.
I think it's worth checking out, and I think a lot of people will settle in on it being a good movie.
Yeah. And, like, see it in the theater if you can. I think it comes out limited run in October. It's on Netflix in November, I believe. So, like, it's not that far away of a wait. But it was cool getting to see it at a festival because we got to be sure to see it on a big screen, which is something that it's going to be a bit hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you want to stick to some Netflix movies? Maybe talk about Wake Up Dead Man?
Absolutely. Yeah, so
who did it?
that's the funny thing about this movie, and I don't know if you want to put on an extended spoiler countdown here, because it's really it's a hard one to get into without.
I think let's not even get close to spoiling this one, because I feel like this part of the excitement is that there's not going to be we know how it turns out like 3 months before it's actually going to premiere. So we're not going to spoil what happens in Wake Up Dead Man. Like, we can talk what's in the trailer. So, like, clearly it's a murder mystery in like a small town parish. I guess the basic gist of it is that, like, the main suspect of this murder is Josh O'Connor, who plays, like, a new priest at a new parish there. So he gets a hold of Benoit Blanc, or the police get a hold of Benoit Blanc, played by Daniel Craig, to kind of help out with this case there, because it's a seemingly impossible murder, how it happened there. So, like, because it's a seemingly impossible murder, a lot of people think it's like, if it was anyone else, it would have to be a miracle of some kind. It would have to be something that's kind of like otherworldly. And the kind of vibes and tone of it is a lot more like the first Knives Out. Is a lot more of a gothic setting, Red Glass Onion, which is like a very bizarre vibe of a movie. So it's almost a two-hander between Daniel Craig and Josh O'Connor. Josh O'Connor is phenomenal in this movie. He's so good.
Well, so my thing with spoilers with this movie is there's two ways to approach the spoilers. One is there's the case itself, but I think also the structure of the film is hard to talk about without kind of spoiling how this film might be a little different than some of the other films in the series.
Yeah.
It's about that Josh O'Connor character.
Yeah. So this movie's long. It's like 2 hours, 20 minutes. And the first like 20 minutes to half an hour are pretty much all Josh O'Connor and setting up the rest of the cast.
Like 100% Josh O'Connor. I don't think you don't hear Daniel Craig doesn't show up on the screen, and you don't even hear Benoit Blanc mentioned until literally like 30 minutes into the movie.
You get like a brief glimpse for like a second near the start there, but like not much. Like, it is truly, he doesn't show up for a while. And I know a lot of people who I talked to said they didn't like that it was a slow build up. But I think that the cast is so damn good in this movie, and the characters are so interesting, that setting them up in that way allows the movie to unravel in such an interesting manner. I think that was a problem. I rewatched Glass Onion and Knives Out earlier this week. I think this is my favorite of the three. And I think that the problem with the first two movies is that they rely on most of the cast being extremely like dumb as bricks for the movie to work as the mystery gets unraveled. But this one, characters are pretty intelligent across the board. They all have interesting motives for why they would want to do something, why they would not want to do something. And I think it's a really fun mystery to unravel, because like you kind of like, it's not just like, oh, this person's dumb as bricks, so they made a mistake like this. It's like, oh no, like this is like well sketched out characters played by great actors. Like Glenn Close is so fucking good in this movie. She is so funny.
Yeah. Like I don't know if you want to like just go down the bench here. Like Glenn Close. Yeah, so Daniel Craig and Josh O'Connor, as you say, are kind of the two-hander. It's a two-hander with Josh O'Connor is kind of takes the lead in the first third, and then they both kind of share in the second third, and then the final third, it truly becomes a Benoit Blanc, let me explain how this happened, the usual wrap-up. But then going down, it's like Glenn Close, Josh Brolin, Mila Kunis, Jeremy Renner, Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott, Kaylee Spaney, Thomas Hayden Church, and an actor I hadn't seen before, but Daryl McCormick was a great presence as well. And it's just this incredibly deep bench, and every character is so interesting, as you say. And it's just these, you've got Andrew Scott, you've got Hot Priest, basically, he's maybe takes the lead in, like, he's the focal point of maybe 2 scenes in the movie and then part of the ensemble for the rest. But this is like a fantastic actor who's just completely owning the screen for maybe a combined 3 minutes. And it's just, there's so many performances like that in this, and every single one seems like it could be its own movie.
Yeah, and I feel like Rian Johnson got the balance really right in this movie, because I feel like Glass Onion's very showy. This performance is very comic and goofy. Like, Kate Hudson's pretty much like a cartoon in that movie. Michael Shannon's pretty much doing a cartoon in the first one as well. Like, Jamie Lee Curtis is pretty much a cartoon. I feel like this one is like, it's like not a heavy movie, but I feel like the performance is a lot more grounded in reality. No one comes across as like a complete total like doofus Looney Tunes character. Like, even Benoit Blanc, like, he has a different haircut this time, so his Foghorn Leghorn thing doesn't seem nearly as goofy.
Yeah. I did almost want a bit more of the Kentucky Fried, like Louisiana style Benoit Blanc. He does tone it down a little bit, though. He does also have a lot of kind of seersucker suits, and he does still have a lot of the southern dandy look, but he does tone it down a bit here.
Yeah, I think it's Wake Up Dead Man's a really competent movie. I thought it was a really engaging movie. I was engaged the entire time with it. Like Frankenstein, it's going to get like a limited theatrical run, like a week or two, like November. Netflix releases sometime in December. But yeah, I'm excited to rewatch it whenever I get a chance to, because I was blown away by it. Like, I was really anticipated for the movie, because I would have loved to see like one of the opening nights of it, where I could see like the whole cast and crew and everything. I got to see the red carpet, so I got to see like Rian Johnson, Andrew Scott, Josh O'Connor, Kerry Washington. That was pretty cool. But like, it would have been cool to see Daniel Craig in person, but that was not the cards for me this year.
Yeah. It is interesting to think about this series, because so now they've officially latched onto this being the titles moving forward are Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, Wake Up Dead Man, A Knives Out Mystery. Rian Johnson, I think, recently came out and said he wished, instead of framing these as a Knives Out mystery moving forward, he wanted them to be a Benoit Blanc mystery. Which is funny, because this film feels the least, Benoit Blanc feels the least essential to this movie. There's almost a different movie here where it's just the Josh O'Connor character playing that detective role.
And kind of solving it himself, without him.
Yeah, like In the Name of the Rose style, like, investigation within the church. And really, that's I think the most interesting part of the story isn't the usual, sleuthing and, get everyone to tell their perspective and then compare notes and figure out who's lying. Like the expected end of the movie sort of courtroom style scene where he walks the entire rogues gallery through what really happened. That part is, you have to do that to package the film and to wrap the film up. But the most interesting part for me was Josh O'Connor's character, and thinking about spirituality, and the real sort of mystery here is like, what is the heart of the church? What is the heart of spirituality? Because he's a interesting character in that he comes from this very rough and tumble past. He's a former boxer who's had some trouble in the past. And he's basically been exiled out to this outpost in rural New York State to try to push the church in a different direction. And I think we saw it. So we saw it the Friday after. I don't know if you want to get into the real world context here, but we saw it the day after, I think, that the Charlie Kirk assassination happened, and
Yes, that sounds right. Yep.
there's a lot of interesting commentary in this movie about performative religiousness, performative politics, using storytelling and narrative,
Social media to kind of
using these
exaggerate stories.
Using these elements to consolidate power, and whether we really believe in something or we're just using it cynically to build ourselves up and to enrich ourselves. And there is a character in the movie who's a kind of an alt-right, like a failed alt-right politician / social media influencer who plays a key role. So it's an interesting film, and I think a lot of people will be able to project a lot of things on this movie, whether they were explicitly in the mind of Rian Johnson or not. Well, I guess he'll have to talk about that when more people see this movie. But it definitely is in conversation with contemporary religion and politics in a way that, even though the first two movies definitely were talking about,
the first two movies basically just settle on like, oh, the rich people are bad and stupid.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That's the depth of it. This one has a lot more to do.
Yeah. This is focusing on a different sort of like moral corruptness, ethical corruptness. So I think there's in the end, I think it ends up having to settle back into the familiar whodunit mode. But there's a lot more going on here, especially in the beginning with Josh O'Connor, than what you would expect from this sort of movie.
Yeah, Josh O'Connor is just such an exciting young exciting actor that kind of just popped up on the scene the past few years to break out, and like he's been really exciting to watch. Like him in Challengers is phenomenal. There's a movie you're talking about,
La Chimera.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, that's an amazing movie. And highly recommend that if you like Josh O'Connor and anything he's been in so far.
So going down the list of movies we all saw together, like we could briefly talk about Steal Away, but that's a movie that I'm not sure it's going to even get like a big release or anything.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's the horniest movie I saw this festival by far, but yeah, when you talk about briefly, it's like, some takes place in some undisclosed country, some undisclosed time period, which like kind of a bit of a fascist state's happening. A white family basically runs an underground railroad type system where they get like young girls to come on through and they pass them on to the next part of the next stop on the railroad and everything. The movie has some Get Out vibes going on, so you kind of think something more sinister is going to be happening. I thought it was really good. Everyone else I talked to didn't really like it. It's Anjuri Rice from the Mean Girls musical as the lead. So I think it has wonderful costumes and stuff. Has a lot of clearly African influenced clothing in it. There's a lot of bizarre spirituality that's kind of underexplained in the movie, and I feel there's about 20 minutes of missing narrative tissue that got removed at some point during the adaptation. I thought it was just fine. I talked to a guy literally who fell asleep during the whole movie, except for the one scene where she's describing the dream where she saw like a big veiny penis.
It's one of the more perplexing bits of dialogue in the movie, but she recounts this scene to her young black friend, Angry Rice recounts this scene where she sees a naked man bathing on the beach, and then she follows him around a corner, and then I can't even repeat it because it's because she compares his penis to a large eel. Yeah. And
because like she's like
describes
because like
with it.
There's like a girl who's like, she's like rich and stuff, like has everything she wants in life, but she's really envious of like the sensuality of this new friend she's made that's stopping at her house there. And so like she's kind of like jealous that like this girl's able to get all the guys she's interested in. So like she's recounting her sexual frustration and sexual like her basic horniness by recounting the story, and it's very bizarrely delivered. It's a very horny and weird movie. It's called Steal Away. I'm not sure. It's a Canadian movie. I'm not sure if it's going to get like a wide release. It's not going to get a wide release for sure. It feels like a movie that would be dumped on Crave, which is always unfortunate when it gets just dumped on a streaming service. But Yeah, we both saw it, and it was just I liked it more than most. But it is a movie that people were kind of like fell asleep during, or just it did not resonate with them at all, which I do not blame them for.
Yeah.
A movie that really resonated with me. You saw this one too. You saw Train Dreams, right?
Train Dreams. Yes.
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 So, oh, you go ahead.
Yeah. So this movie debuted at Sundance way earlier this year, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's interesting in that it's epic in scope, but it's only about an hour and 40 minutes. So it's a short movie that's pretty epic, telling sort of the life of this this man who lives in the Pacific Northwest in the late 1800s, early 1900s, played by Joel Edgerton. So he is he's a logger, and he's a railroad worker, sort of taking on these manual labor jobs over the years.
Spends a lot of time away from his wife and kid. His wife played by Felicity Jones.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah, they're on the frontier. They're on the American frontier.
As the world's getting modernized, and they're not seeing it. And he has like a lot of questions about his life and stuff, his place in the world. He's very philosophical. Fair amount of narration going on, and it's just like Joel Edgerton plays sadness so well. He has such a good sad look on his face, just overall. And I thought it was a very touching movie. It's very clearly influenced the way it's shot like a Terrence Malick movie. I think it looks really, really good, despite just being a lot of it just being homages to better looking movies. I found it very touching. I was really blown away by it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect walking into it. I didn't realize that it was going to be the sort of movie that spans 4 decades. And definitely spending more time in sort of his Edgerton's character, Robert Grenier. It's focusing more on his sort of 20s, 30s, 40s, less time spent on early life and late life. When it starts to time jump a little bit, and then you calibrate as the viewer. You kind of calibrate. Okay, this is going to move quickly, and there's going to be some parts of this that we move on from and don't necessarily come back to, both in terms of like some familiar faces that show up on the screen. But it really is this sort of like here's the life of this man, and for that reason, it kind of brought to mind a movie I think both of us really liked out of TIFF last year, which was the People's Choice winner, The Life of Chuck.
100%, yep.
Definitely less of the Stephen King supernatural, sort of magical realism elements.
There's less dance numbers in Train Dreams.
A lot fewer dance numbers, but more trains for sure in Train Dreams.
Lot more trains. Hell yeah, there's plenty of trains. If you like trains, you'll like this movie.
Though I will say, I was hoping for a few more trains. Mm-hmm. There's a decent number of trains, but for a movie called Train Dreams, there's a lot more dreaming than trains. I'll say that. True, yeah. Like he should have has one dream where it's like 60 trains coming at him. See, that would really hammer home the point. Mm-hmm. But it's a really touching film. There's not a lot. It's not too complicated. No, it's not complicated at all. But the takeaway is that even a pretty simple, straightforward life can be epic, and mean something to the grand picture of things. And actually, that kind of brings to mind a movie from a few years ago, the Best Picture winner, Nomadland. It kind of brought to mind this. The scene I always remember from that movie is when there's the woman. Do you remember this? There's the woman who's recounting. She's like, "Oh, I've had a pretty good life. I went out to Alaska and I saw the ducks, and they were that was pretty cool. So I've had a pretty good life, ups and downs." And it's kind of very melancholic as this woman's saying this, but it kind of reminds me of this entire movie where it's like, this movie isn't about this hero who has this incredible adventure. It's like his life is an adventure, but it's just like it's a lot of hard work, and there's a few big laughs and lots of sadness. And
Yeah, and I think that Joel Edgerton plays that sense of doubt of thinking his life is interesting or good, like really well. I like Joel Edgerton a lot as an actor, and I think he really just anchors this movie so well. Yeah, it was like I was blown away by it. It was one of the highlights of the festival for me, for sure. You mentioned Nomadland, so we may as well talk about Chloe Zhao's newest movie, Hamnet, which is my favorite movie of the festival by far.
Yeah, and we saw this together 9 a.m. on one of the last days of the festival. Highly recommend a 9 a.m. screening with a coffee in hand. That's a nice treat.
Yeah, with everyone around you weeping.
Yes. I did not turn to confirm whether Bryan was weeping, but I was busy tending to my own.
Oh, I was crying. I cried at everything, though. Actually, no,
Okay.
I think this is the only movie I actually cried in at TIFF. I am a crier at movies, but this is the only one that really got to me emotionally. This one really messed me up.
Yeah, I kind of went into it a little blind. I don't know how much you knew about this, because
I was in a rush line. I had a girl tell me what the rundown of the book was, what the basic premise was, because I was wondering how related to Hamlet is this? And there's 3 Hamlet movies at TIFF, and I saw all 3 of them. I'll go through those pretty quickly. So I saw Hamlet with Riz Ahmed as playing the lead role of Hamlet. It was a bad movie. He's okay in it. He's actually pretty good in it. So the gist of that movie, it takes place in modern day London, England, and the South Asian community. But what they do in the movie is they remove all the comic relief characters, so it's just pretty much focusing entirely on Hamlet. So it's very dour in that way. And it's a lot of shaky cam close-ups of like Riz Ahmed and him like walking away brooding a lot. It was and he uses all the old-timey Shakespearean language, was very distracting, not very good. But I got to be front row center for Q&A with him. We left the theater at the same time. I got to tell him, hey, good job. So it was like, I meant he had a good job in it. It's just like, it was a bizarre adaptation of a movie. The second Hamlet movie I saw is an anime called Scarlet. It's by the animator Hosoda, who did he did Digimon the movie, Girl Let Through Time, Belle, Wolf Children, Boy and the Beast, Summer Wars. So a pretty big animator. Where basically it's Hamlet in this one is a Danish princess named Scarlet who gets killed by her uncle Claudius, gets sent to like the other world of like hell, where like future and past come together, and she, in this void, she teams up with like a paramedic from the modern day to like go towards her uncle Claudius and get revenge in the afterlife, because she couldn't do it in the real life, which I thought was a really, really cool movie. And then I finally got to see the best Hamlet movie at the festival, which is Hamnet. So it's Hamnet. Hamnet, which is like, basically the premise is like, it starts off with a little title card saying that, bringing up that, around the time that Shakespeare was alive, the names Hamlet and Hamnet may as well be the same name. They're used interchangeably. And there's always has been this theory, because Shakespeare had a son in real life named Hamnet. He had twins, Judith and Hamnet, and Hamnet died at a young age, and there's a lot of theories among Shakespearean scholars, a lot of debate as if the play Hamlet was written in any way to process the grief of losing a son. Is it about his son in any way? Because that's a story about, like, avenging a father. It's about family relationships. It's about parenthood and such. So there's theories about that. So this was based on the movie's based on a book called Hamlet and Judith, which is a fictional recounting of things. So it shifts the focus to Shakespeare's wife, Agnes, and it's about so it's about like her and Shakespeare falling in love and having a family together, and then tragic passing, and them just trying to process the grief. And simple story, incredibly well told. It's Chloé Zhao, so it's the most gorgeous looking movie ever. It's just dripping in emotion and texture. It's so beautiful to witness, and it's nice thing too is, like, if you're afraid of watching a movie about Shakespeare stuff, about the old old-timey dialogue, it's not like that at all. It's like you can understand what they're saying. It's very clear language to understand for our modern ears. So it's Paul Mescal as Will Shakespeare, and Jessie Buckley as Agnes Shakespeare. And Jessie Buckley is a complete knockout in this. It's one of those things where, like, I saw her like this. She's going to win the Oscar for Best Actress this year. Bare minimum is getting nominated for sure. It is such a powerhouse performance from like one of the most exciting younger actresses out there is Jessie Buckley, and like she always is great in everything she's in, except for that Fargo season. But she is just tremendous in this. She is spectacular.
Yeah. This was for me. It was the moment of the festival. Seeing this movie, Buckley is incredible. I think okay. So for like my entry to this movie was obviously you see the name Hamnet, and it's such a unique word that you think, okay, is this about Hamlet? Like what is this about? So I knew it was based on a book, and I knew it had some attachment to Shakespeare in some manner. But even like when I sat down to watch this, like you sort of set it up as, you know, Paul Mescal playing William Shakespeare and Jessie Buckley playing Agnes Shakespeare, but the name Shakespeare isn't mentioned explicitly necessarily, like by the characters, or at least not in a way that I really registered. So I'm just thinking, okay, it's obviously it's set in this. When was it set? Like 1600s, 1700s, like
1600, yep.
1600s, yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, is this a spin on the story Hamlet? It took a while for me to realize that, like, once maybe a third of the way into the movie, Paul Mescal you're seeing him, he's a tortured artist, he's trying to write. And that's when it clicked for me. Oh, I did not realize that this was this kind of fictional, historical, meta retelling of Shakespeare himself, and mostly told through the perspective of his wife, Agnes. So that part was interesting to me because I didn't fully connect where this was going until really halfway through the movie. And I'm thinking it's more of this, it's this really interesting kind of costume drama, but I'm not getting what it's supposed to be playing off of. And then by the end of the movie, we finally make that very, very strong, explicit connection to who these characters are and what this movie's about. And then for me, that final third of the movie is so
emotionally raw. It like really hit a nerve. Our entire audience was so gripped by it. You can easily tell why it won the People's Choice Award, because like it's funny, like, you know, last year there was a lot of buzz for various movies people really liked, but like this year it seemed kind of muted, the response generally to the big movies. But Hamnet was the one everyone was talking about, like this is like the best movie of the festival. This is just everyone agreed it was just like an emotional roller coaster. They found it so affecting and touching, and like, yeah, it's a really well deserved win. It comes out in theaters in November at some point, so it comes out relatively soon. So this is definitely gonna be an Oscar contender for sure, which I think it deserves. It's just I liked it more than Nomadland myself. I thought this was a really touching movie. I just was blown away by it, absolutely blown away.
It did need to have that scene where Paul Mescal says, I went to Alaska and I saw the ducks. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, we don't see anyone shitting in a bucket in this movie, even though you probably could have gotten away with it back in 1600s. There should have
been one scene set at a Amazon logistics processing center.
It would have been way better if, like, instead of Shakespeare going off to London to like write his plays or strive for his plays, he was just working an Amazon factory, getting yelled at by a boss, made to piss in the same Gatorade bottle all day.
Yeah, he's a gig worker. Yeah.
Or make it like War of the Worlds with Ice Cube and have him, like, doing drone deliveries.
Oh, man. The fact that you know enough of that movie to reference it. That's,
of course I've seen it.
Oh, my goodness.
Worst movie.
I lived it.
Yeah. Hamnet's the best movie of the year, and the worst movie of the year is War of the Worlds.
But there is a case to be made if Ice Cube had been in the Paul Mescal role, if they had just swapped it, both of those movies might have been different.
True, yes. I think Ice Cube could have brought a lot of nuance to the performance.
Yeah, he could have said things like, "God damn, they can't do that. Oh no, they're destroying the planet. No.
You've been hacked, motherfucker.
There should have been more hacking in Hamnet. So I don't want to hedge too hard, but like there were obvious places where Chloé Zhao could have given it some extra zhuzh.
Yeah, like compared to the Eternals, which she also directed somehow, there wasn't a lot of MCU crossover in Hamnet. Like we don't get a Blade showing up in the post-credit scenes played by Mahershala Ali.
That would have been good.
That'd been really cool. Was it Harry Styles? I think was also in the post-credits for the Eternals. Don't get him popping up. No Celestials. We don't see any of our favorite characters from the Eternals, such as like Ajax and Kingo.
All those characters who we know by name and we're familiar with their backstories. Say more of those names.
Ooh, that's tough. I think I'm out.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
I think Kit Harington played Black Knight.
Sure,
but who could remember?
Yeah.
And
most of his plot takes place at an Amazon processing plant.
God, more movies should have that. So looking at what else do we see together? Sentimental Value.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's another big one here. And
I love this movie so much. It's so good.
And this is Joachim Trier's follow-up to Worst Person in the World.
Great movie.
And it's got, back in the lead is, and this, we'll see who can pronounce this better between Bryan and I. Renata Rensf?
Renata Rensf?
Jeez. Rensf?
Rensf?
Renata Rensf?
Not sure. She was also the female lead in A Different Man, the Sebastian Stan Adam Pearson movie that came out last year.
Right, and she was in the Jake Gyllenhaal courtroom investigation one.
Didn't see that one.
Which I can't remember. It was a series.
Okay.
It was a very memorable performance.
So yeah, Sentimental Value. It's about so there's a patriarch of the family who's played by Stellan Skarsgård, who's like a so it all takes place in like Oslo and Norway. So like he's like a Norwegian director, patriarch of the family, but he's left his family for a long stretch of time. And after their mother dies, like there's one sister still lives in their the home that Jenny's family's lived on for generations. After their mother dies, the father comes back into the picture, and he's written the oldest daughter, played by Renee Rensf, or however it's pronounced. She's a stage actress, and the father, played by Stellan Skarsgård, is returned with a script for a movie he's making, where he wants to cast her in the lead role. She says no, but he cast an actress played by Elle Fanning in the role instead. So Elle Fanning's trying to understand like how the family dynamics work and such. It's pretty. It's the father trying to reconnect with his kids and stuff, and the kids trying to understand the father, the adult kids and everything. It's a really touching generational story. As like they're trying to figure out their own family history and stuff. Like the other sister's going through like the archives, figure out like the grandmother or great grandmother was like resisted the Nazis back in the day at the house there. And so it's a really touching family drama with great humor to it, great emotion. Stellan Skarsgård is such a great actor, and he's so good at, for being a wayward father who's abandoned his family, you get some sensitivity from him. Like, you get why he did it, but at the same time, like, you still hate him a little bit for it, but he plays it so well that you're not repulsed by him. You understand why his daughters are still into him, want to get to know him better. It's such a complicated relationship going on there. I love that it's not just like a movie with easy answers, because the family dynamics are so complex and everything. It's fantastic. I was totally blown away by it. I thought it was so funny and so nice and so touching.
Yeah, this is one that I'm really excited to see again, because there's just it's really unique. It goes in a lot of directions you wouldn't expect it to go, and I think now that I kind of understand where we get to by the end of the movie, I think I'll have an easier time a second round with it. It is funny that, like, I'm almost certain they'll run Stellan Skarsgård as like best supporting actor to give him a
He
stronger shot.
could have a shot to win. He's one of those actors that's due for a win.
I think so, and he's a guy who's been around in everything before. You know, has done great. He's done a lot of like genre work, like sci-fi and fantasy stuff the last 15 years, and I think that's kind of probably put him in front of a lot broader of an audience. But like this guy's been making great international film for like 40 years, so he's really quite magnetic in this, and. The rest of the cast, Elle Fanning is fantastic as this. She is so good. Outsider.
Yeah, she's really good at doing the culture shock too. But she's not playing as like a completely ignorant child that does not know what's going on in the world. Like she's playing with such interesting curiosity. And so like she is like supposed to be playing like a famous actress, and she plays it like that with like a bit of humility to it, as well as like not much entitlement, which I think would be an easy way to play the role. It's she's really trying to get into this performance that she's kind of realizing that, like, oh, like this role is not meant for me. It's not meant for me at all. This is like I'm the backup to who the director really wanted with his own daughter. Like it's Elle Fanning has had a really interesting career. I'm really excited. Like she's been in a lot of great things. Like she's I'm not a big fan of A Complete Unknown, but I really like her in that movie. She's incredible in 20th Century Women, Neon Demon. Like she's a good actress.
And I think there's, for a number of reasons, the film that came to mind after a few days after we saw this was Lost in Translation. I feel like there's some connection there.
Yeah.
Especially we've got Stellan Skarsgård in that sort of Bill Murray role of being this sort of way past his prime. Sort of at one point in his life, he was a big deal. Because he's kind of presented as being this like a Jim Jarmusch, like he's this European auteur. But he hasn't made anything in like 20 years, and it's still a big deal to have him at, like, I think there's a scene early where they do a retrospective of one of his earlier movies, and it's this big deal that, they've invited this master auteur to receive a prize or receive something at a film festival, but it's kind of understood that he's past his prime and he hasn't had a project in years, and so he's kind of in that Bill Murray zone of this, like, he is a sad sack kind of guy who's feeling, even though the movie takes place ostensibly at his longtime home, like he feels like pretty ungrounded. Like it's unclear who this guy really has in his life, because he's been away from his family for so long, from his children. So the people you see are in his life are like other old, semi-retired, like, film craftspeople, including Jesper Christensen.
He was also in James Bond, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. White. Yeah,
up, Mr. White. My favorite line delivery that they used in every commercial for, I think it was Spectre, but. You're a kite dancing in a hurricane, Mr. Bond. I was waiting for him to say that, but he doesn't say it in this movie, unfortunately. It's such a great line.
Maybe they can re-edit it to toss that line in.
Yeah. Mr. White was cured from his debilitating poisoning and became.
Did he shoot himself in the face after he got poisoned?
I think you're right. Right, but it's been a while. But anyway. It's a lovely movie, and it's interesting, this juxtaposition also between the Elle Fanning has a bit of Lost in Translation in her character too, where she's this American actor in Sweden, and the two daughters are fantastic too, because Renata Rensby and the other actress who plays the daughter, Inga Ibsdottir Lilias. I think we both of us might get banned from the Nordic countries there after these pronunciations. But both of these daughters are just they're both fantastic too. The acting's fantastic. I thought that my only thing with this movie, right now, just having only seen Sentimental Value once and having been able to sit with Worst Person in the World for the last 3 to 4 years, I think Worst Person in the World is like a masterpiece. For me, this one, I think I need to have a few more cracks to get there with this. I thought there were times it's only 5 minutes longer than Worst Person in the World in run length, but it felt a little longer. It felt longer than that. But
yeah, I figure I love Worst Person in the World. I think it's a fantastic movie, but I feel like it meanders a little bit, whereas I think this one feels a little bit tighter. It has a bigger scope to it in ways. So I feel like it felt a little bit tighter. So I feel like, yeah, but like, I'm excited to rewatch this too. Like, Forest City Film Festival is happening in London like next month. So like they have a Sentimental Value, Know Their Choice, Mile and Kicks. So they have a lot of movies that Toronto has already. So like might end up get a chance to rewatch Sentimental Value, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be one we're talking about in 4 months in regards to Best International Feature.
Yeah.
Stellan Skarsgård. It'll be interesting to see what category they run him in. I think if they run him as supporting, he's a lock and might win. But he could also, I don't know at this point whether it's better to be nominated for Best Actor and lose, or I think they'll probably run him, even though he's in literally 80% of the movie.
He's the co-lead of the movie, but they do category fraud all the time, so
yeah,
I can see them doing that. Did you see Rental Family at all?
Didn't see Rental Family. That's the Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, so we're talking about Lost in Translation. It's very Lost in Translation in that sense of like culture shock and alienation. So Rental Family, directed by Hikari. It's Brendan Fraser plays, he's an American actor in Tokyo. He struggles to get a lot of consistent work and stuff, a lot of commercial work. So he gets a job at a company that is rental families, where basically he plays a stand-in for family members. So let's say you have like a mother who passed away. This company will get a surrogate mother in there so you can kind of process your grief and trauma or whatever with them, fulfill a role within his family, get hired with. So he gets hired by this one woman to pretend to be this little girl's father, who has like abandoned the family years and years before, because she wants to get the kid into a prestigious school, and that school wants intact families to be there for the interview process. So Fraser, gets back, quote unquote, in his little girl's life and such, and ends up like getting a nice appreciation, like appreciates the young girl likes him back and stuff. And then of course it's pretty, like, for how interesting the premise is, it actually falls into by the numbers kind of formula. I thought it was okay, didn't love it. That was one people thought could win People's Choice because it is a crowd pleaser. Fraser's really good in it. He has a lot of warmth he brings to the role, but I thought it was just fine. That's one that comes out in theaters, like, I think next month, next 2 months, and that one I can see get some awards play for Fraser. Maybe even Best Picture, just because it feels like that kind of a movie that could just, a softer movie that people would actually really gravitate towards.
Yeah, and obviously, we're coming off, was it 2 years ago? We had the big, The Whale, the Brendan Fraser kind of rebound. So he's already been he's already gotten the kind of career achievement award, like, actually, he's an actor in that zone of like a Keanu Reeves, or these guys that are kind of, they were in a lot of different sort of big budgety stuff, but in real life they've got this persona of being like really nice guys, and it's great to see them still making a go at it here and sort of playing around with that celebrity status. Maybe. So you think like Brendan Fraser might get another sort of like a cheapy Oscar nom for this one? I think
make a nomination. Yeah, this seems like a movie that people are really going to like.
Yeah, and people like him. I do think I haven't seen the trailer, but does it have a moment in it with him with breathing tubes saying, "Don't you think people are incapable of being not nice?"
I'm a defender of The Whale because I think I think that the movie has a negative opinion about the guy right to the end. I think the movie is so cynical and mean towards him because the guy is such a pathetic idiot. He's obsessed with his daughter's essay. It's the best thing I've ever read in my entire life. And it's like, a complete misinterpretation of Moby Dick, and it's so funny that he's like wasted his life just like thinking his daughter's the best person on the planet for writing this really bad essay about how she does not want to write an essay. Just some bratty kid. I think it's sad in the sense like, oh, this guy's a real loser.
Also, he doesn't realize she just put the prompt into Chat GPT. It's a complete Chat GPT job.
Yeah, that would be the best twist for the movie. I think if like Chat GPT existed when that came out, that would really hammer in the point more. Like, actually, would have like I think people would like it the way I like it. But if you look at him being a good guy, like a smart guy, the movie's pretty stupid. But if you look at this guy's a total loser, and the movie's an indictment on him, and I think it's a really solid movie. But he's not. I think he's good in it, but it's not the best performance ever. Like I think, was that the year that Paul Mescal was up for After Sun? Because whatever year that was, he should have won that award. But
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, but whatever 22 was, I know he was not my favorite person there. I think that was the year it was between him and Austin Butler for Elvis. I know that for sure. But I don't love either of those performances.
He's white.
What?
What? So another actor who's kind of in that Brendan Fraser mode of in the early 2000s being this like big blockbuster movie star, and now is able to sort of play off that sort of charisma and subvert it in different ways is Colin Farrell. I feel like there's some connective tissue there.
Mm-hmm.
And one movie that we saw that I think we were both pretty down on is Edward Berger's Ballad of a Small Player, starring Colin Farrell.
I hated this movie so much.
This is Berger's follow up now to his last two films. All Quiet on the Western Front was a big to do. It won Best International Feature, right?
Yeah, it won feature, it won score, it won a few Oscars. Yeah,
like it really put him on the map, and that was I think that was 22, or was that 21?
That was
in
22,
case,
I think, yeah.
And then and then last year, of course, we have Conclave, which sort of cemented Berger as being not just this like a one-hit wonder kind of deal, but like he's got a real handle on craft and making these like really compelling, pretty tight movies.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie is
not compelling and not tight.
Ooh, it is a pretty major letdown, I thought. So
yeah.
It's about so Colin Farrell is a gambling addict in Macau, and he quite early in the film, it's quite clear that he is a sort of a scammer who is taking on this persona of being part of the like British aristocracy. So he calls himself Lord Doyle, mm-hmm. and has this kind of ridiculous like velvety like smoking jacket. Like he looks like a character out of like the board game Clue. Like he dresses like, you know, completely ridiculous, over the top, like rich eccentric British guy, and he is dodging the hotel staff because clearly he's got massive debt he has to pay off. He's on a major losing streak at the casino playing Baccarat. Big film for Baccarat.
Yeah,
you don't see a lot of Baccarat outside of like a 1970s James Bond film.
Yeah, because it's boring to watch on screen.
It's like blackjack, but
with
somehow...
less strategy.
Is there less strategy? I was having trouble following, to be honest.
It's basically whoever gets the highest card, they're going over 9. Like it's not like
9. Yeah,
and yeah, because it works in James Bond movies because it's not the main focus of like the scene. There, it's usually James Bond, like, you know, talking to someone, trying to extract information from a woman or something. But this is just like
trying to emasculate a villain.
Yeah, high stakes Baccarat, and it's just like, so the movie's constantly trying to tell you like this is like he is like completely stressed, like he is on his last legs. There, it's the world's falling apart around him. But the way it's shot is so static and boring. It's shot more like Conclave than anything else. But Conclave is like kind of a stilted, like, you know, papal thriller almost. So it's supposed to be kind of static and not that exciting to look at. But
you're in these tight interiors that are all just like stone and like very, very intentionally, like there's not a lot adorning these interior hallways a lot of the times in Conclave. But in this movie, it has that same sense of it's very static with the camera, but you're in like a more souped up version of Las Vegas, basically.
Yeah.
So it's just a complete disconnect between how much there is on screen and like how dull the camera is.
And for what the movie's trying to tell you it's about all the time, it should feel like you're watching Uncut Gems. It should feel like you are like sweating along with Colin Farrell as he's making all these bad decisions. And it's just like, it feels kind of it has like a bit of cheapness to it. It's going to release on Netflix, I think, like next month. So it is a Netflix movie. Yeah, it's just, I was bored by it. I think it completely, every cinematic choice they made to depict the movie visually was the kind of the wrong choice. Like, it has some color to it, but like not really enough color with it. Another thing that really bothered me in the movie too is, so it also has a Fala Shen as like basically the co-lead. She's a casino worker who's like trying to help him out a little bit, like spotting some cash for one final big bet and everything. And also
she's like a loan shark basically, or she works for the loan shark.
Oh right, yeah, works for the loan shark, yeah. And it also has Tilda Swinton, who works like as like someone who's trying to Colin Farrell scammed someone in like England, so she's trying to get the money back from him, or else like she'll like call the police on him because like she knows his real name and everything. And
I think she's a detective. Yeah, she's a detective, like a private investigator.
Yeah, who's working on behalf of whoever he scammed. And the problem with both of these characters is that most of the movie is him telling them how they feel. And it's like, oh, you feel this way because your life is like this, yada, yada, yada. And they all kind of follow along and agree with him, which is like, why the fuck would you agree with this, like, loser gambler all the time? It's such a bizarrely sexist movie in how inert these characters are, and Colin Farrell just gets to, like, fully steamroll them and be like, huh, wow, Colin Farrell, you're right about these things. And there's a mid-credit scene that I think I was rolling my eyes completely with. Won't spoil it here, but I just fucking hated it. Yeah, it was just such a nothing of a movie. It's only 100 minutes long, but like, it felt like it was a lot longer. I just feel like it's one of those movies where you can easily see it being done well, even with Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell's a good actor, and I feel like we've seen Colin Farrell be in this kind of like over his head, sweaty mode before. Like, he's been doing shit since like Phone Booth. Like, I think Phone Booth is more intense than this movie. Like,
yeah, this movie feels like it was shot in a phone booth.
Yeah,
but it's which is why it's it's pretty disappointing. It's pretty disappointing because I really like Conclave. I like the visual language of Conclave, and this has so much potential. You got Farrell and Swinton, like, and Fala Chen, as you said, is she's I think that she's the best part, but she also doesn't have a whole lot to do.
No, she's basically being told what to do like the entire time and told how to feel, which is just like, it might be a flaw with the book it's based on, but like it just comes across as like weird for a movie to do.
All right, here's a question for you. What was more exciting, the Baccarat scenes in Ballad of a Small Player or the boxing matches in Christy?
Christy. Not
really?
by much though,
okay.
But the boxing scenes at least had people getting knocked out and like punched in the face.
Yeah.
Both of them are cinematically extremely uninteresting to look at. I've seen them done a million times better in other movies.
Yeah. It's for me, it was just like, okay, we're doing the montage of a bunch of boxing matches in a row. We're doing the montage of a bunch of hands of Baccarat. Unclear what's happening here. It's just moving very fast, and you're just looking at the person's face to see whether they won or lost.
Yeah. With like no real intensity with like the musical score telling you it's like intense or not. Like they have like one sound effect when they're peeling up the card, like it's like almost like pulling a sticker off something. They have that one effect to show you how like stressful it's supposed to be. But yeah, it just felt like it just plodded along, and it was just very uninteresting to me as a movie altogether. I was like so disappointed. Probably my biggest disappointment at the festival, because like I don't love Conclave, I don't love All Quiet on the Western Front, but like this one, I thought like you know what, Edward Berger, maybe this will be the one that make you really click with him. And I was like, nope, I maybe just doesn't have it. Like,
Yeah.
I think Conclave may have been an actor in a script movie more so than it was a director's movie.
It is a war. This movie needed Tucci.
Tucci would have been good for this, yeah. Like have another like actor he could bounce off of, where it's like he's bouncing off of them rather than just like, oh, you feel this way because this is your life story to this point, and you should keep giving me more money because I told you how good your life is or how bad your life is. Like,
Do you think Tilda Swinton was a good detective in this movie? Like, I don't like she.
No, she's the worst detective in the fucking world. Like, she figured out who he was at
Sent her
first.
from London to Macau by herself, and she's first of all she's dressed like the librarian you had in elementary school.
Yeah.
Like she's just like it feels like she's in drag as Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
It's really really odd. It's a really odd film. Just lots of again, like I'm sure Colin Farrell and Swinton have been in projects before because they kind of have that similar kind of mode.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They kind of, as short as it is, there's just so little substance beneath them that they would almost, both those characters work better as like as the 20th build character in like a Wes Anderson ensemble.
Yeah, because like you think that Tilda Swinton should kind of be the antagonist of the movie, but she gets just steamrolled every scene by Colin Farrell being like, I know who you are and get you the money, you just have to believe me. She's like, oh, I guess I will believe you. Like, there's like no real tension going on at all there.
Yeah, and they try to do some sort of spiritual stuff.
Yeah, and it just feels like you're watching like, you know, a scene of James Bond where they go to Macau and James Bond happens to be walking past a shrine or something. Like,
well, they try to do some like Edward Munch, like the Scream or whatever, right? Like they try to do some like there's like torture spirits that are like your gambling addiction or whatever. I don't know.
mm-hmm.
It was like anyway. I don't know if people are gonna watch this. It feels like one that's just gonna disappear into the ether.
Yeah, it's a Netflix original, so it's going to be watched like, you know, a few people day one when it comes out, then completely forgotten to time.
It's gonna be watched by 400 million people, and no one will be able to remember what the main character's name is.
No one will talk with me ever again, like after like November.
It's just a show for folding your laundry.
Mm.
You just look up and you're like, oh, there's Colin Farrell with a Errol Flynn pencil mustache. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna make sure my socks are dry.
So we should be wrapping up pretty soon, but I'm thinking maybe we could talk about, each of us can talk about one movie that was under your radar, was really fucking good, and another movie that you just loved that we haven't gotten a chance to talk about yet.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we've hit a lot of the big ones. The one that I saw that I don't think you saw was called Couture.
Didn't see that one.
I'm not gonna pretend like this was the best thing I saw, but it had some craft to it, and so this is an interesting one. It starts off and it looks like it's a vehicle for Angelina Jolie, who is the bold name talent in this. So she is an American filmmaker who has been hired to do the pre-fashion show short film for like a runway show in Paris, like a Chanel kind of level fashion show.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been brought in to create a short film that they play for the guests at this fashion show. And while she's setting, this is clearly it's a for hire project, and she's taken it on because she's trying to get the timing and the logistics right for her next project, which is this big I think it's a big fantasy epic that she's been trying to make for a long time. And so she's doing this project first to, I guess, make a whack of money or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it very quickly shifts from Angelina Jolie to a series of other women who are kind of working within the high fashion industry. So you've got and all these characters are played by European performers who I'm not familiar with previously. But you've got one character who's a seamstress who's making this incredible dress throughout the movie, and there's a makeup artist who is kind of being jerked around between all these different shows. Shows keep saying, "Okay, we need you to come for this time." Oh, we're going late tonight, and she's pushing back. Oh no, I have another show in an hour, and so she's being pushed and pulled around a lot. And then you've got the most interesting character is this young 18-year-old model from South Sudan named Ada, who was a refugee living in Kenya, and I guess someone spotted her on the street, and they've decided to make her the new face of this fashion brand, and thus the star of the short film that's being made, and the person who's going to wear this fantastic dress at the runway show. And she's this complete babe in the woods, totally naive, but very beautiful and tall, but doesn't know how to do the runway walk. So she shows up in Paris ahead of this fashion show and goes to the townhouse that's been rented, and it's filled with all these young high fashion runway models. And it's just really interesting. So they weave back and forth between mostly the Angelina Jolie character, Maxine, and the character played by this South Sudanese actress, Anya Ane. And they mostly go back between these two with sort of short interventions with the other women. But it's kind of really interesting. It's a little slow, but there's a lot of craft in there. Just and I did get the sense that they're taking a lot of the aesthetics from the sort of high fashion magazine photography world. So it's an interesting one, worth checking out. I love Angelina Jolie. I think anytime you can watch Angelina on the big screen, I think she's just really a really captivating performer.
Oh yeah,
so,
for sure.
That was my entry point, and then especially this Anya Ane performer, and this was her first acting role. She comes from the modeling world, and her character was based on her own life story, interestingly enough. So there's some interesting stuff here, and if you told me Anya Ane was in a Bond movie in 5 years, that would not shock me at all.
Oh wow.
She's kind of has that natural charisma and obviously very beautiful. Kind of a Grace Jones kind of intensity and look, going back to another Bond girl from years ago. So that was one that I know you didn't get a chance to check out, but
it's on my radar for sure now.
Yeah, worth checking in on at some point.
I also realized a movie that we saw together, but we didn't talk about yet, was Dust Bunny.
Yes. So we saw this at Midnight Madness.
Midnight Madness they curate midnight screenings at TIFF there at Royal Alexander Theatre. It's always like genre movies, offbeat movies, and like the crowd there is specifically energetic. You often go to the movie even if it's dog shit just because the crowds will be interesting. So this one is directed by Bryan Fuller, who made the TV shows like Hannibal and Pushing Daisies. And it's about a little girl who there's a monster under her bed that eats her parents, or it may not have eaten her parents. But she tells Mads Mikkelsen, who lives down the hallway, a monster ate my parents. A monster under my bed ate my parents. I need you to come kill the monster for me. And Sigourney Weaver plays Mads Mikkelsen's handler, and it's like a horror comedy. The first 20 minutes are really horror, but the rest of it's a really good time at the movies. It balances the comedy, the horror so well. And I get the name of the little girl again.
Sophie Sloane.
Sophie Sloane, and she's I think it's her first movie performance, and she is just incredible in it. It is such a good performance. She's able to bounce that off Mads Mikkelsen so well and be so funny and so dramatic.
Yeah. The film I kept thinking about, and there's a number of films that are kind of obvious reference points here, like Leon the Professional, definitely one that comes to mind. But
this has no pedophilia in it, so it's better.
Yeah. That's slightly better for sure. But the movie that came to mind a lot was the Danny DeVito directed Matilda from the 90s.
Oh, definitely.
Mara Wilson.
Mm-hmm. Like this has like a very specific visual aesthetic going on too. Like you can tell this is the guy who made Pushing Daisies, the TV show. It is visually really interesting. The way it uses CGI is actually done really, really well. I think they blend it together so like it's just a unique environment that's created rather than it being just like a crux to do easier animation.
Yeah, there's a quality of this that feels very Roald Dahl. Just that sort of dark humor verging on horror. I don't think it really ever gets to horror. Which is going to be, I think, a sticking point for some people. Some people, some of the reviews I saw were quite disappointed because they were hoping this was going to be a scary film. And really, this is a family-friendly black comedy horror movie in the vein of like in terms of the scare factor, it's more like Gremlins than
yeah, absolutely,
the Boogeyman.
Yeah. It's a fun like Gremlins. It's a really fun movie. Like I had a blast.
I laughed more at this than anything else I saw for sure.
Sigourney Weaver is incredible, and seeing her in person for the Q&A was just like I was starstruck. It was so cool.
Yeah, they had to take that seat out of service for the next day's screenings. You made quite a mess. But I think this is one that if you've calibrated your expectations for what it is, I think this is going to be a really fun one. I think this is the sort of film that is going to be a gateway point for a lot of like I think a 10-year-old could watch it, and there's enough in there that it doesn't feel like a movie for 10-year-olds.
It's not condescending towards children, which is great. Like the kid performer is like, she's an active character. She has a lot of agency. She's not treated as like some dumb little kid. Like and when she is, like, she's kind of proven right at points. And it's you're right. I think it's like a perfect movie to show like a very horror curious 10-year-old kid, and they would have a blast with it. It comes out in theaters in December, I think. So it has a trailer already, has a theatrical release planned, and I think it's going to be if you really want a fun, offbeat like horror comedy, this is perfect.
Yeah, and some really cool design too. Some really cool design, and there's some stuff that the camera does, thanks to a combination of practical effects and CG, that they did not have to do camera work like they do. There were some things that reminded me almost of like Breaking Bad, the way that the camera starts in a interesting spot that you wouldn't expect it to start at. And they Fuller and his team clearly they put the extra effort in for what could have just been a much simpler film.
An under the radar movie I saw that I really, really liked. It's called Nika and Madison. During the Q&A, the director referred to it as an indigenous Thelma and Louise, which is a great way to describe it. So it's about two indigenous women who like used to be friends and stuff, younger, but like one of them went to like university in Toronto, so the other one stayed back on the reserve. And the girlfriend in Toronto come back to town. They get involved in an incident with the cop, where the cop ends up in the hospital. So they're basically on the run. And there's two cops investigating them, including the actor Sean Doyle, and the indigenous community is kind of stonewalling the cops and stuff, trying to make sure they get a fair chance to tell their own story and stuff. So it's a story about indigenous issues, police brutality, police corruption, female friendship, like the keeping your roots intact while still moving to the city, and what it's like to come back home. I thought it to be a very, very, it's for how like bleak the subject matter could be. I thought it was very engaging. I thought it was very funny. The two actors, Ellen Jade and Star Slade, are really great in this movie. I think I know it's playing at Forest City Film Festival, but it's one I would keep on your radar for sure, because I thought Nika and Madison was a really, really interesting movie.
And not to be confused with Mads Mikkelsen or Mikey Madison.
Nope, not at all. That'd be a fun pairing, though. Have like Honora and like Le Chiffre fight off.
Yeah. And then honestly, just go full Avengers. Let's get the whale in there. Let's get the woman who goes to Alaska and saw the birds. Get the entire rogues gallery together.
The whale should be in more movies.
Yeah, like when he ascends at the end of the movie, he should be ascending to join the new Avengers.
Join a different movie. Yeah, let's do one more movie each, then we'll pack it in. What else you got?
One more movie each. You've got so many movies to pick from. Okay, what other movies have I seen? Oh man, I'm running out of movies here.
There's pretty much only one movie I really want to talk about on my end. So
I will say, and I don't think here's a movie that I didn't see, and I don't think you had a chance to see either. But I want to mention The Smashing Machine.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't see that one, right?
Didn't see it, nope.
And that's the Dwayne Johnson MMA fighter biopic. Mm-hmm. And that's one where just on paper it seemed like it was definitely being positioned as one of the big movies of the festival. They had a bunch of kind of supplemental events where they would have like in conversation with Dwayne Johnson. Like clearly they're pushing this as a potential best actor, best picture maybe. I heard absolutely in just all the various conversations with people throughout the 1.5 weeks, I heard precisely no one talk about this movie.
I heard no one talk about it at all. Like
that's not a great sign. That's not a great sign because this is the festival where people will talk about a very middle of the pack movie as if it's like a surefire future Oscar winner, and not a single person was like, "Oh yeah, it's The Smashing Machine. Got to see that."
Like I think there's only 2 screenings of it, but even the movies with like 2 screenings still had people talk about it, like positively or negatively or just purely neutrally. But this was just one that completely like I heard not a single soul talk about it whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I have no idea if it's good or bad or not, but all I know is that the buzz was just not buzzing around. Like no one was really going nuts for it or anything.
Yeah. So that's I mean I think we've talked about all the other stuff I saw anyway mostly. Yeah. There's a few other stinkers that aren't even worth mentioning, but
I guess the one I really want to talk about was it was my most anticipated movie at the festival, and I'm so glad I got a ticket for it right at the very end. It won the International People's Choice Award. It's Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice. So it's Park Chan-wook. He's the guy who did directed Old Boy, Lady Vengeance, Joint Security Area, Handmaiden, Decision to Leave. So he's like one like the most prominent South Korean directors out there. So this is his new movie. It's based on a book called The Axe. It takes place in South Korea. It's about a guy who spent his career working in paper. He gets fired from his job, and he wants to keep up his lifestyle. He has a nice house, he has a marriage, he has 2 kids, he has 2 dogs, and he struggles to find a new job that can actually, pay well to support his lifestyle. So what he decides to do is he finds the other qualified candidates for a job he wants and decides to kill them off. So he decides to become a serial killer and target the people who are qualified or more qualified than he is. It is absolutely hilarious. It is a Park Chan-wook movie, so it's shot in the most crazy way possible. It's dark, it's bleak, but it's incredibly humorous. I can see that this movie's coming out Christmas Day. I think Neon already has it. This is making a push for international feature for sure. I can easily see them trying to market it as like the next Parasite, simply because it's South Korean. It's pretty funny. Set in modern times, a lot of urban sets and such. And it's a critique about capitalism and stuff. It has same kind of violence as Parasite. The violence is a lot more slapstick in No Other Choice. It's a deeply, deeply funny movie. I had an absolute blast watching it. I think it's already in my top 5 of my Park Chan-wook rankings. I think I already have it above Old Boy. I thought it was a spectacular movie, and it lived up to all the unreal hype I had in my brain for it.
Yeah, I think his last directorial feature, Decision to Leave, I thought was almost instant masterpiece. Yeah, when it came out in 2022, that movie, every single frame is just meticulously thought. Everything is thought about. The composition, the camera work and the craftsmanship in his movies are just like things you've never seen before. So I'm happy. I'm happy to have some other films to look forward to for the rest of the fall, including No Other Choice.
Yeah, 'cause I feel like this year's been kind of shitty for movies overall. Like the first 6 months of the year, there was like Sinners and not much else. Like it's been a pretty dry year. And I'm happy that with festival season, there's there's some really, really good movies kicking around. It's just you had to wait for the back half of the year for them to pop up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think as we record here, one battle after another comes out
next week.
Not today, next week.
I think so. Yeah,
and that's the one that everyone is kind of pointing to as the king right now. But there's some other interesting movies here that I think will, just from an awards perspective, will capture. There's some potential to build a campaign around a movie like No Other Choice, Sentimental Value, Hamlet, or Hamnet rather, Hamnet. So it's going to be an interesting couple months here. I agree. Overall, there's been some interesting movies, but true bangers have been few and far between.
Like, I think we got spoiled the past couple years for movies. Like 2023 is like one of those all-timer years, I think. And 2024 I thought was a great year too, but like this year has just been kind of like, it's like kind of back to normal, I think. Whereas like it can't all be great.
Yeah. But
like most of the top percentile movies I've seen in 2025 have been TIFF releases. Like, I think overall, I liked almost everything I saw at the festival. There's only a few movies I did not really like too much. But for the most part, I enjoyed everything I saw, which is always nice, right? When you spend like that much time at a film festival watching movies, like it's good to have a good hit rate. It's good to see movies that like are not just stinkers, because that's always a risk of the festival, is like you just gravitate towards the wrong ones. And I think, we two of us, we saw most of the heavy hitters, the ones that got most of the buzz. Like the Smashing Machine, I've seen trailers for the past 2 months in theaters, so like I knew it's coming out soon anyway, so like I wasn't going to rush to it at a festival. But
they're handing them out like candy.
Yeah. So I'll see Smashing Machine for sure, but it's like one of those movies that, like, if the goal was to build up festival hype with it, I don't think they succeeded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas like Hamnet did at winning People's Choice Award, like they succeeded in what they wanted to do with releasing it at TIFF. Is like, all right, now this is in the conversation for the Oscars. Like this is going to be something people are going to talk about right to the end of the all award season. Like comes out TIFF in September. I think it played Telluride beforehand. Now it's going to come in November. People are going to see it through December, and then all the award ceremonies pop up. So I think Hamlet's placed very, very well for awards contention at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think at this big picture again, I think TIFF still has, I think it's the largest festival in terms of like number of films. Mm-hmm. But I think its position as being a kingmaker, like the People's Choice Award, like as we said, like it has traditionally been this bellwether to what the best picture race might look like. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case moving forward. And then
I think Life of Chuck was a weird exception because like Neon picked that up, but they also had Anora as well. And Anora won Best Picture,
which was at TIFF last year too. That could that did not win the audience prize at TIFF last year for what it's worth.
Well, Anora did win like runner. I think last year was like second runner up was Anora, then Amelia Perez, then Life of Chuck. So it was up there. Like audiences did like Anora at TIFF last year.
Yeah, and they also liked Amelia Perez.
They also liked Amelia Perez as well. So
Toronto audiences, it's an interesting audience. I don't think it's the same audience it was 10 years ago. And I think the sort of films that are being launched from TIFF are starting to change a little. And even like some of the ones we really like Sentimental Value and Hamnet their world premieres weren't at TIFF, right? Like I think Sentimentals came out of Cannes.
I think so, yeah.
And then I think Hamnet came out of was it Telluride or Venice? One of
those two, yeah.
I think Toronto has kind of settled into this position of being like more populist than like critical centric. So maybe it's a place where you can launch a best actor campaign for a Brendan Fraser, or for someone who people love, like a broadly loved star who's finally getting their due. But I don't know about its place in the overall film world in terms of like being the center of the universe for like the best films.
Yeah, because the past 10 years, the landscape's changed completely with how people consume movies. Like, streaming came along, then COVID came along, and there's people like me who go to the movies all the time, but there's also a lot of people that just don't go to theaters anymore. And so tastes have changed, audience habits have changed. So like people who go to film festivals and vote for things, they probably a different crowd than what it used to be like 10 years ago for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but overall, I know you had fun. I had fun.
Yeah.
And what more could you want than watching a ton of movies in theaters with good big crowds?
Exactly, yeah. Like I had I'm still fucking exhausted from it. It was like 11 days straight with like barely any sleep at all. I feel like I'm not going to recover for like another like week or two. I'm wiped still.
Have you been back in a theater since?
No, I'm going tonight. I'm seeing Drive at the Highland tonight. I'm also seeing High and Low, the Kurosawa movie, tomorrow night as well. I almost saw The Long Walk on Tuesday, but I was so damn tired that I stayed home. But I'll probably get back to my normal viewing habits once I start going back to movies tonight. So, what about you?
Yeah. I'm probably holding off until One Battle.
Okay, yeah.
One Battle.
Yeah, I'm seeing that as soon as I can for sure, because Paul Thomas Anderson's like one of the best directors. So,
yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we talked for a long time today, but this is a ton of fun. It's fun to debrief a really fun festival. It was also awesome when the festival was like running into a lot, just like making plans as we went along, and just seeing a lot of really cool movies together.
Yeah, and telling everyone who came up to Bryan asking who just got out of a GMC Suburban out front of the Princess of Wales Theater, telling everyone it was Wally Shawn.
I was
and them nodding like, oh, really? Oh, yeah.
I was really good for actually telling who someone actually who's coming out of cars. Like, I have a good eye for those things, so I thought it was pretty useful. But my friend did see Wally Shawn wandering around the festival, so he was there.
Inconceivable.
Yeah, so any final thoughts about TIFF before we end things?
Oh, man. No, not really. I think the only thing is the pre-roll ads that are now burnt into my brain from seeing them a dozen times.
How do you think I feel? There's always the land acknowledgement. There's like the RBC ad. There's the TIFF Thank the Volunteers ad.
Oh my god!
At least they didn't have it. The Roz and Mocha like People's Choice Award ad that from last year. That one sucked so much.
Yeah, for some reason they always go with an ad that like kind of mocks the idea of like the value of movies.
Yeah,
they do ads about making fun of the tropes of like rom-coms and horror movies. They also had they had an ad this year for a travel company, and the takeaway was basically like, once you've done being a fat slob in the movie theater and like sitting on your ass and watching stuff, like you should actually go see the actual world. You should go touch
grass, you piece of shit loser.
Don't you think people are incapable of traveling?
The whale should have gone on vacation. You could have like gone an all-inclusive place and just gotten like fed all the time, like bottomless shrimp at some resort. He would have loved that.
Man, yeah, bottomless. Yeah, yeah. I think next year we should bring the character the whale back as the pre-show host.
Yeah, the whale too. We should start writing it right now. Start producing it. I'll start gaining some weight to play the role.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you got it. It has to be authentic this time.
Yeah, no fat suit, just pure obesity.
And then everyone's very helpfully being like, no, Brendan Fraser, he was also fat. He had also gotten a little fat.
Yeah.
But we put more fat suit on him. But he had the lived experience of being a fat guy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, okay. That's the body transformation angle working in overdrive.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Andrew, for joining me. Anything you want to plug?
Anything I want to plug? Nope. That's all I got.
That's all you got. Okay. Well,
I want to plug this podcast.
Yeah, so this podcast is called Movie Pod. It's a podcast about movies. You can find new episodes every Tuesday. I'm on this. You can look up Movie Pod on Blue Sky and Twitter. You can also find me on Blue Sky, Twitter, and Letterboxd at bwishart. So this is a bonus episode. It'll come out this weekend at some point. Next week, I have an episode on Ultramarines, a Warhammer 40,000 story, which is a very, very bad movie, but a very, very fun discussion about it. The format of the show is going to be changing in October, so stay tuned for that. But episodes will still keep coming out. And yeah, so thank you again, Andrew, so much for joining me.
Thanks, Bryan.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll talk to you and see you soon. And until next time, Movie Pod fans, take care.